Well, guess who's top of the league again? Manchester City are top of the league. And why does a nervy away win in a title race against Everton sound familiar? We've been here before. I know that was a terrible game. We are top of the league again, back where we needed to be. And it feels really, really good. Before I go too far though, I just very quickly say thank you to my latest Patreon, which is Theo Varzi. Theo, you're an absolute hero. Thank you very much for supporting this channel. Patreon.com/Esteemed Company if you want to get involved. But back to the game. That was really, really nice. It was a poor performance overall. I say a poor performance, a gritty performance. So we'll get into talking about the specifics in a bit of time. But in general, all that mattered is that we won this game, and we did win it. This wasn't a game for the purists, really. It wasn't a game full of spectacle and full of creativity and zest. This was the kind of game after the Arsenal game, and given the games coming up, that you got to go there and just win. And win we did. Right, we'll go on to the pre-game stuff and the lineup in particular. It was a predictable lineup, really. Maybe one or two decisions that some people would have changed, but we went with Ederson in goal, right back Walker, and then we did play Laporte at left back, which was an interesting take, and then Otamendi and Stones, and then Fernandinho Holding. He was back in midfield after the Arsenal game, and then we went for Gundogan, who played very well against Arsenal, so maybe deserved that, and David Silva. Then obviously Bernardo out on the right, Sane on the left, and Sergio Aguero for the middle. It was an interesting take, maybe one that on paper made some kind of sense. Morris left out once again, and it was a game where we needed to win, but we also needed to rest some players and rotate some players. And it was no surprise that De Bruyne was actually left out in the end, given how tired he looked towards the end of the Arsenal game. And on paper it should have been enough, and we did kind of start really brightly going into the first half. We could have scored within about a minute or two with Sane drilling a shot just wide, and after that kind of followed a period of possession where we were okay. We started off pretty well, we had plenty of the ball, though Everton were lively. We still had a few chances. Gundogan hit the bar at one point from a drill cross, and he somehow clipped it onto the bar. Then there was a goal mouth scramble of sorts, and I don't know how we didn't score. And then there was a really poor header, or as I put on Twitter, a poor header. I'm sorry about that. I'm genuinely sorry. Anything I can do to make up to you all for that terrible pun, I'll try. But that didn't go in, and we should have been 1-0 up at that point. And then Everton, as usually happens when teams get let off the hook, they kind of found a way back into the game for about 10-15 minutes, I would say. And they had a bit of possession. They didn't really create much other than a header which looped wide off the back of Kyle Walker. But they were okay, and I kind of expected that at some point. Then after that, Gundogan could have had a penalty, probably should have had a penalty. Kind of hard for the referee to see, but in my opinion, it was a clear penalty. Bring on VAR if it's going to solve those kind of problems. And then Laporte made amends for his poor header and scored with a great header. I won't go there with the pun once again. I said on Twitter, Laporte. Sorry once again, but all I know is that header gave us the 1-0 lead at half-time. It was just about justified. It was a nervy half, and it was weird looking at Twitter and browsing it, because I saw lots of negativity from people, and after the game as well, people being quite negative towards Everton. They're not that bad. I know the form was pretty poor, but they are 9th in the Premier League. They're hardly Burton, and they have got a bunch of players that thoroughly deserve to be around the top half of the table. They've got some very good footballers, and obviously we're going to be up for it. And that first half, I saw quite an overreaction, and the nerves were spreading throughout the fans, so I could tell who were watching the game. I mean, I understand it, but it felt like a little bit, a bit reactionary. The second half wasn't great, really. I guess if anything, it was probably a little bit poorer than the first half. Everton were really up for this, and they were lively in the second half, and they just kind of came at us and ran at us. They didn't create much either, but they were very lively. It was a very scrappy game. We couldn't really get control. We couldn't really get a foot on the ball. We couldn't really create much in that second half. There was a couple of small kind of moments. At one point, Gundogan pulled it back, and Bernardo Silva won a header, and Aguero attempted an overhead kick and couldn't quite get it in goal. But that was kind of as good as it got for a long period of time. Sane wasn't really at the races. Sterling came on and put in a good little shift, and then somehow Fernandinho seemed to wind up the whole of the stadium. I don't know how he wasn't booked early. He eventually got booked in the 70th minute after numerous challenges. Fernandinho's mastered the art of kind of getting in the referee's good books. Don't know how he does it, but he does do it. Not much really happened other than that. Sterling kind of did a deflected shot just over. We failed to pull the trigger a few times when we probably should have shot a bit quicker. He kind of petered out a little bit. There was a couple of collisions. Some players went down injured, which led to 7 minutes of injury time. Yes, 7 minutes of injury time. And then Gabriel Jesus popped up with the last minute winner. Kind of strange goal, really. A through ball from De Bruyne, deflected, then a looped header into the goal. He's got a taste for dramatic last minute goals, and that settled all the nerves. There was 7 minutes of injury time, which probably was about right given the injuries. But I was just glad to see the final whistle go. As I was saying before, a nervy winner against Everton away in a title race. Sometimes you just gotta kind of get those kind of games out of the way. Individually, it was a very mixed bag. Not the kind of game that anyone will remember in a hurry, and probably no real standout performances. Ederson, it didn't have much to do, to be honest. No real saves to make. His clearances sometimes were a little bit rushed. A couple of kind of sketchy ones and a couple of brilliant ones where he picked out Aguero from long range, and a couple of moments where he rushed out really quickly to close down the opposition player. One particular moment on Tosin was fantastic pace, and he's very good at reading the game that way. But it was a largely quiet game for him. In quite a rowdy game, he didn't have much to actually do. Kyle Walker, I thought was largely good until his brain fart towards the end. He seems to have one a game in him at the moment, which is quite frustrating because he's trying to play his way through his bad form, and all of a sudden he will have that moment where he just kind of slips up, and he could have conceded a goal there. He needs to get past those little spells. They weren't happening that much last season, but at the moment they are. Otamendi, Stones, Laporte were largely okay. They dealt with pretty much everything they had to deal with. I thought Laporte wasn't quite as comfortable at left back as he was against Liverpool. I think against Liverpool he had to just kind of concentrate on defending, which was a lot more comfortable. But this time he gave the ball away a few more times than he usually does. Maybe it's because he was thinking about trying to create a little bit more than he usually does from centre back. But it was an okay performance, but it wasn't a great performance, though he did obviously get the most important goal of the game. So thank you for Laporte for that wonderful header. In midfield, Fernandinho did his usual stuff of winding pretty much everyone up on the pitch, but putting out so many fires. And General had a box-to-box kind of game. Maybe not as sultry as he usually is, but he's always showing for the ball. He's always there when you need him, and he's always reliable. That's why we all love Fernandinho. For me, at the moment, he's probably the most important player in the Premier League. I genuinely believe that. Not just for City, but he's the most important player for the team. In my opinion, it's the best team in the league, and therefore that makes him the most important player in the league. Like, he's the one guy who's probably got the biggest influence on how the season's going to go down in the whole of the Premier League title race, because he's key for Manchester City. He's so critical to everything about how we play, and I hope we wrap him in cotton wool going forward. Ahead of them, David Silva kind of flattered to deceive again. He's not quite at the races at the moment. Maybe he's a bit tired from his early exertions in the season. Maybe his age is starting to show a little bit, but he isn't quite as moving quickly as he usually does. And there's a few times when he was through and goal where he just took too long to get his shot away. And one thing Silva's not usually been is kind of slowing the thought process. I'm hoping it's just a small blip in form, and I've got no doubt that it will be just that. But it wasn't quite a great game for him. Gundogan was okay alongside him. A couple of nice little moments. Nothing stand out like it was against Arsenal, but he wasn't terrible either. Though him, maybe, and Silva didn't do enough to control the game as we usually do. Sane wasn't really at the races the whole game. The amount of times he was offside in the first half was a little bit silly. He did work hard, though. I can't deny that, but his touch was off. And sometimes you know when you're watching Sane if he's going to be having a good game from the start. And you could tell with him he wasn't quite there. He could have scored early on, and he did work hard, as I said, but it didn't quite happen for him. He didn't get the balls played to him as much as he usually does. One of those games for him where you can forget. And Aguero was just, he worked hard. He didn't really have his best game. He could have scored and probably would have scored another day with that overhead kick from only a few yards out, but that wasn't an easy chance. It was a half chance, I say, at best. Bernardo on the right, he wasn't quite as effective as he was against Arsenal. He worked exceptionally hard. He grafted, as he always does, because Bernardo is the running man these days, and his touch didn't let him down at any point. And he did put a decent little shift in. It wasn't a kind of a glitzy, kind of shining performance from a player who's usually kind of known for his technique and his magic. Sterling and Gabriel Jesus both worked hard as subs. Sterling did put a decent little shift in, but nothing really of note apart from one scuffed shot. But overall, that wasn't too bad. We just needed to get through this game and win it. We needed to be top of the league, and now we are top of the league. Now Liverpool have to play their game in hand now against Manchester United away at Old Trafford, which gives us a little bit of a potential buffer, even if the worst comes against Chelsea. Now, obviously, I want us to beat Chelsea, and if we do, we'll be 3 points there. Potentially, Liverpool could lose some points against United, and things could change just like that. I never thought I'd go to the day where I'm begging on United for a win against Liverpool, but it could actually happen, and it's quite exciting. Some games you kind of worry about how you're going to get the 3 points, and today, even though it wasn't a vintage performance at this time of the season, well, I say this time of the season, it's only the start of February, you just want to win games. You want to keep showing Liverpool that even if we don't play well, we won't be dropping points. And it was important after the Newcastle game, and after the Arsenal game, we followed up today with a win. Liverpool will be seeing today thinking, you know what, that's the kind of game we would have drawn against West Ham and Leicester, and they did draw those games, and they might be thinking, it's going for them at the moment, and it's not going for us. We have to keep up that pressure. It wasn't a vintage display, but one thing I don't want to kind of get as a fan base is kind of entitled and a little bit spoiled. We can play poorly, yes, but a little bit of perspective is needed. This isn't Burton, this isn't Rotherham, and this is a very good team that spent a lot of money on some very good players, likes of Richarlison, even Walcott's a decent player. Just Gea had a great game in defensive midfield, and the likes of Tom Davis and Calvert-Lewin absolutely run their asses off when they play us, and Kenny as well had a good little game, and Zuma was blocking everything. They always seem to up their game against Manchester City, and given the form at the moment, they wanted to show their fans that they've got the fight in them, and they reacted pretty well to their recent poor form. You can't take these games for granted, and sometimes a 2-0 grinded out win is just as good as a 5-6-0 thumper. Well, you know what I'm saying, metaphorically speaking. Basically tonight we needed to show the grit and determination to get the 3 points, and we just about did it. Guys, I'm happy with this. We're top of the league. What more can you ask for that? That's really good news. Yes, they've got a game in hand, but it's just really nice to know that we are now at top, and things could look very rosy for us, and the title race has turned just like that. It's a really good thing to say. Once again, thank you to all these names scrolling down, whichever side they are. I always forget which side they're going to be. These are my patrons, these guys who support this channel. You're all absolute heroes. Don't forget, if you are new to this channel, click subscribe, like this video. In a bit.